So you found us some more fascinating stuff to dive into.
Yeah, it's Pastor Simon Measures this time.
Oh, interesting. I always enjoy his perspective. What's he been talking about?
Well, he's been doing a series on the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what's his take?
It's really interesting. And, it's a story everyone's heard a million times.
Right.
But he uses the disciples' reactions, to kind of flip the script on how we view faith and how we approach challenges. It's pretty insightful.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so familiar story. Jesus feeding the 5,000 people, 5 loaves, 2 fish, the whole bit. But we're going deeper this time. Where does Pastor Measures want us to start?
Well, he kicks things off by talking about Philip,
Okay.
And in one of his daily guides, it's called A Test of Growth. I think he makes this point about how Philip jumps immediately to the impossible logistics of the situation.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going to find enough bread to feed all these people? And he's like completely missing, the miracle that Jesus is about to perform,
It's like he's forgotten who he's talking to.
Exactly. And I think we can all relate to Philip in those moments, right? When we get so caught up in like the practicalities that we forget to even consider the possibility of the miraculous.
Yeah, it's like we try to solve the math problem instead of just trusting the mathematician, right?
Exactly.
Put God in a box with our limited thinking.
Yeah. And Pastor Measures really drives home this point that these are actually tests, these challenges. They're opportunities to assess our own spiritual growth, to see where we're placing our faith. Are we putting our faith in our own limited resources, or are we putting our faith in God's limitless ability?
Yeah, good point. And then we have Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Andrew, who at least tries, right?
Right. He's like, I found this boy with his lunch.
And then immediately downplays it.
Right.
5 loaves and 2 fish. What are we going to do with that?
Right. Among so many.
That's classic Andrew, right? And Pastor Measures uses this whole exchange in another daily guide called Small Offerings, Great Impact, to kind of illustrate how often we do the exact same thing.
Right. Downplaying what we have to offer.
Yeah. We look at our gifts, our talents, our time, our resources, and we see them as insignificant. We see them through this lens of scarcity.
Yeah.
We minimize their potential impact instead of seeing them as seeds of possibility.
It's like we're looking through the wrong end of the telescope.
Exactly. We need to flip the script.
Yeah. Good word picture.
Instead of looking at what we lack, we need to start looking at what we have, through the lens of abundance.
Right. Because God can multiply those things. It's like that boy in the story, right? With his 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Exactly.
He just hands them over.
Yeah. No questions asked, doesn't even hesitate, just pure, simple faith.
And that's what Pastor Measures calls that God's abundant supply, right? That's another daily guide.
That's right. He uses the boy's response to kind of highlight this childlike trust that we're supposed to have, this understanding that God can do anything, even with what seems small to us.
And what's interesting to me is, Jesus didn't need that lunch, right?
Right.
He could have snapped his fingers, rained down manna from heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's God. He could do that.
Exactly. But he chose to use what the boy offered. And I think that's significant.
Yeah. There's a reason for it.
There's a reason. It's like he's showing us this principle, this principle that when we surrender what we have, even when it seems insignificant, he can take it and multiply it in ways that we can't even imagine.
And it's not just, about material things, right? It's not just about food or money.
Right.
It's about our time, our talents.
Yeah.
Those little nudges that we get to reach out to someone, to encourage someone, to step out in faith, to take a risk. We dismiss those things because it's not that big of a deal, or it's not going to matter.
And you know what else Pastor Measures talks about? He talks about the disciples who actually distributed the food.
Oh, interesting.
He suggests that, their involvement wasn't just about logistics. It wasn't just about getting the bread to the people.
Right.
He says they were changed by participating in that miracle,
Wow.
by witnessing firsthand the power of obedience, the power of surrender, of stepping into that space of faith. They were transformed by it.
It's like being a part of the miracle actually changes you.
Exactly.
Right.
We often focus so much on what we give to God.
Right.
But Pastor Measures, he really highlights how the real transformation happens in that surrendering.
In the letting go.
Exactly. It's in that act of obedience that we experience God's power in a whole new dimension.
It really makes you wonder, if we're holding back, what are we missing out on?
Right.
So, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'm curious, when you think about those three figures in this story, Philip, Andrew, and the boy, who do you see yourself in most?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. You know, I I think maybe it's less about picking one
Right.
and more about recognizing how all three, like those tendencies, those ways of thinking,
Yeah.
show up in our own lives, you know?
Because we're all of them sometimes. I mean, I know I have my Philip moments for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just totally focus on the logistics and the impossibility of it all.
Yeah. And the limitations.
Or I'll catch myself being an Andrew, downplaying what I have to offer.
Yeah, minimizing.
But then you think about that boy and his simple faith, just here it is. Take it.
It's amazing.
Just complete trust.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, what could our lives look like? What could we accomplish for God if we lived with that kind of faith?
That's what Pastor Measures wants us to grasp, I think. He wants us to stop overthinking, stop putting limits on God with our doubts and fears, and just step into that space of radical trust.
Yeah. It's really powerful stuff. So I guess the challenge for all of us as we're, going about our day is to ask ourselves, what are our 5 loaves and 2 fish? What do we have to offer that might seem small to us, but in the hands of God could be multiplied for his glory?
It might be the thing that changes everything.
It really could. Thanks for bringing us these daily guides today. This was a good one.
My pleasure. Always love diving deep with you.